Hey there, welcome back. Doing something a little bit different today. It's a little windy out, sorry, but there's a lot been on my mind recently, and I actually wanted to start this video off with an apology about the channel because it was really supposed to start off being a place that people that were questioning their beliefs and thinking about leaving their traditional thought system, people that realized it was holding them back and how they could build something new. And it sort of devolved into trends, debates, arguments, and just general personal self-development that's been done 100 times over. And to be truthful, I think it's just because I was a little bit afraid of posting things like this and sort of saying what I actually think. And I wanted to try this out, just talking to you about the ideas and insights that my mind and subconscious, or whatever have you want to call it, generate. And we'll see where it goes, but today's a pretty powerful one, I think. If you read the title, it's about why I couldn't love you as a Christian. And this one's pretty deep. I first want to just go through and talk about like the definition of Christians, because I know that there's so many different kinds of Christians, so many different denominations. Not everyone believes the same thing. But to me, in my mind, there's two major groups of Christians. There's the group that essentially operates from what I believe is more important than how I move and act and do in the world. And those come from many denominations. And there's another group that believes that we are still figuring out and really trying to get down what it was that Jesus was really talking about. And if you find yourself in a disagreement, maybe you feel like you're in the first group, and rightfully so, because that's the right way to think about it, I kind of want to challenge you to stay and watch to the end, and see if any of this resonates with you. Because before I left evangelical Christianity, I was sort of stuck at a certain level. I was sort of capped out at how much I could really love someone, because you're sort of taught that, you know, there's a club, there's people that are in that club, and then there's people that are out of that club, and your job is to sort of get people to join this club. And you need to go around and sort of, say the stuff, do the thing, save them from their wicked ways, and convert them into the club. And when you have that view of the world and people, it's really hard to love someone fully that you view as other. And like, I know we have a sense of self, and then we have a sense of other when it comes to people that are really close to us, like our family, but like, this is different. Like, other as in they are different than me, they are a part of a different group than I am, and we have massive differences, right? And some people may say, I am totally able to love that person fully, But for me, if I'm being honest with myself, I wasn't. And some of those, remains with me as I move through life. It's like, if you don't believe what I believe, then I can't fully love you. One of the things that I learned to let go of was it's okay to let people believe whatever they believe, whatever they want to believe, whatever their religion is, whatever it isn't. That's okay. And man, when you do that, you just get, your shoulders just drop and you feel such a sense of peace. And you realize that everyone is beautiful in their uniqueness, right? And that it's not just that you are able to love people, it's that it's actually better if they believe something different than you. And that's really freeing to recognize, because then you champion on those people. You want them to succeed. It's not just like, I go from being negative towards you to being neutral. It's like I go from being negative towards you to being positive towards you. I want the best for you. And I don't really care what you believe. You can believe whatever you want. Some of that stuff might be silly, but people need reasons. People need reasons to live. People need reasons to exist. People need reasons to fulfill every need that they have in their life. Survival, belonging, self-transcendence. And in a sense, the power of the human mind is that what we believe becomes real for us, not necessarily for everyone else, right? But why do we have the need to get people on our side, right? It's like winning the mind war. We're always constantly fighting this mind battle of, I'm not on the right side if I'm not with the majority sometimes, but if I can't prove that I'm correct beyond the shadow of a doubt, then I'm losing the mind battle. And I don't want to be wrong. I want to be right about stuff. And God, I just feel like it's such the wrong, like, I don't want to say wrong, but it's just an inefficient use of time and energy, because it's not what's important. What's important is changing a lot over time. And there might be a certain point, I know there's a couple people out there that have realized, maybe change, maybe don't change. Who's to say what's good or bad? And that is a powerful place to come from. But the ability to change is what gives us hope, I really feel. Because if I can feel like I can improve myself, my life situation, my personality, all these things, what am I even doing then? If I can't change for the better, then, why bother? Why try? And man, a lot of us refuse to harness that power. We double down on what we know is wrong now. You see this happening all over the world, right? And as we do it, as we double down, our heart locks up more and more. I couldn't love you fully when I was a Christian because there was always that little block in my heart. There was always that little block that I had that didn't allow everything through, right? Because the heart, it's almost kind of like a river. where it's like, if you allow things to flow, it's fresh, it stays fresh, right? But if you don't allow things to flow, things start to bog up, you get stagnant waters, right? And so that's also one of the things too, that like with Christianity is that old saying of like, love the sinner, hate the sin. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's almost like, I understand where that's coming from. Trust me, I lived it. But it's like a little addendum to the end of loving people that's like, it feels almost like a reason or an excuse or like a pass. Unless they do this, then you don't have to, no. You don't have to love them all the way, you know? And it's just like, forget about that. Forget about that. God doesn't even think about that. That's what I realized. God doesn't even think about your sin. He can't hold it in his mind because that's what it is to love so fully and deeply that you're constantly forgiven. You're constantly forgiven, and all you need to do is accept that this is a new moment. You know, accept that this is a new moment, and until we do, we stay there. You know what I mean? We just stay in that place of guilt and shame that's self-imposed. You know, the guilt and the shame, it doesn't come from God. It comes from ourself, our own minds, our mental conditioning, those patterns that built up in our minds, whether that was someone else that built them up or it was us, ourselves. The unawareness of thought causes weeds to grow. And unless you consciously go and pluck those weeds, they will overflow and overrun and overtake. Right? But there's always that little block in the heart saying you don't have to fully love. And I will tell you this, when you get that little block out of the way, it feels so good to have that river just running fresh and flow and free. Fresh and flow and free? Fresh and flowing and free, or something like that. And it it's kind of funny when you see, it's always defense too, right? It's always the need to defend our beliefs because the enemy is attacking constantly. And if you're not vigilant, they will get you. And, you know, there is some truth to that, but it was way overplayed for me. It's not the enemy that you need to be the most vigilant about. It was myself and my own thought patterns. Because a lot of people that are, you know, anti-religion, and I find myself somewhere in between here, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that, right? But we'll talk about that maybe later. But a lot of people that find themselves to be anti-religion say there's no such thing as demons, there's no such thing as Satan and all this stuff. It's all in your head. And yep, it is. And guess what? That's the worst place that it could possibly exist, is in your head. You know, the enemy, you probably read that book, maybe, The Enemy is the Ego. Pretty solid one. And we'll maybe get into that on another day, on another topic, but the blocks of love is what we're really trying to work to remove. Because if we didn't have those, as cliche as it sounds, the world would be such a beautiful place, you know? And it's kind of ironic that in the US we have the biggest, baddest military, got the most guns out of anyone, the most defensive, you know, power out of any nation. And we have, like, I believe, if it's not the highest, second or third rate of heart disease. There's a spiritual problem that underlies let me say it like this, actually. There's a spiritual solution that underlies every problem that we perceive to be outside of us. You know? We're at a turning point right now, I think. This turning point is coming. I don't know what's in store. We've got AI, we've got wars, we've got this, that, and the other thing. But if you've watched to this point, maybe think about what are the blocks in love to my heart? You know, ask that question to yourself. I'm asking that question to myself right now, right? And how can I remove those? Because there's something that happens to your body physically when you allow yourself to let that river flow through your heart. You know, it's scary. It's scary because a lot of times we open that river up, we open that valve up, and guess what happens? Someone comes to attack us, right? Because we're threatening their belief system. We're threatening their sort of mental infrastructure that they have imposed on the world. And that's scary for them. Those moments, instead of lashing back out in fear, which I have done many times, but I'm slowly learning that you double down. You double down on the love. That person needs it more than anyone else, you know? And, man, so much changes when you have kids, guys, I'm telling you. Realize that every person is someone's kid, and probably moments in their life that they weren't treated very well. And I have students that, you know, like myself, they couldn't grow up with their parents. Their parents just weren't capable of doing that. And it's never an issue of a bad person. It's always an issue of a lack of love. It really all just comes back to that, almost, in a sense, you know? But I know I went down a little bit of a rabbit trail there, but that really is the real reason that I couldn't fully love as a Christian, is because there was always that little block of you're not in the club. You know, we need to invite people into the club. Doesn't matter, you know? Invite the immigrant into your house, feed them, clothe them, give them whatever they need, you know? And we don't realize that this is what Jesus was talking about. I almost feel like a lot of people don't, a lot of us don't, where it's like, he was talking about loving them regardless, fully, opening yourself up, opening your heart up, you know? Doesn't matter what they believe, doesn't matter where they're from, it doesn't matter, almost in essence, it doesn't even matter really what they've done, you know? Because it's for you. It's for you. And guys, if that isn't the biggest life hack that I've ever learned, everything you do, it's for your benefit or for your destruction. Loving other people for your benefit. Being more sustainable for your benefit. You get to save money by reusing things and so forth. Not loving people for your destruction. You create more enemies, more others, more people outside that in your head are attacking you, right? Just food for thought. It's a little windy out, but just food for thought. I wanted to kind of get out here and just give real thoughts instead of pre-planned scripts. And we'll see how this goes, and if we keep doing this. If you watch till the end, comment removing blocks in the comments, and maybe we'll keep on doing this. Let me know if we should in the comments as well. I appreciate you for watching if you made it to the end. Hopefully this is resonating, and you know, it's not to change people's lives. I mean, sure, maybe that would be awesome, but I love doing this channel because, man, I just used to feel so alone. And there are a couple creators out there that really helped me to feel that I was the only one going through some of this stuff. And that's all I aim to do. That's all I aim to do. So, thanks so much for watching. And see you guys next.